Hi everyone, Emily here. I am going to make a scrapbook, junk journal book, excuse me. And I'm going to use this box from a little cake box. And I cut it down. I believe this is the size I want to use. It's a little long this way, but my pages just might not go all the way to the end. But this is the size I want. I purchased this for $1.49 at Michael's. It's just a flower pattern. I thought it was really pretty. And I just thought I'm going to give this a try. I don't know if this kind of yarn will work. This material will work. It doesn't feel too thick. It's a nice big piece, so I'm going to be able to get a couple of books worth out of it, I think. So I'm just going to cut me a piece off. I do want it to go around the corners. I'm not too worried about having excess. So I'm just going to cut me a piece off. I'm not being very gentle or nice in any means. Okay. First thing I want is for this to be nice and wet. And I want it to be really gooey. So when I put it on there, it's going to stick really well. Okay. I was using a paintbrush to smooth this out. But when I made my last journal, I didn't do it on camera. I did do a flip through. I just used my fingers. And I have paper underneath. So I'm going to try to be really careful so it doesn't go over the edges, because I definitely don't want this to glue down on my paper. When I put papers down and I go over the top like this, I get stuff all over it. I still use them in my journals. Just gives them a little character. So you can see I'm just goobering it on. There's quite a bit, but I do want that material to kind of soak it up and stay stuck. If the edges start to come up later, I can always just put a little bit down and make sure it stays secured. So I'm just going to stick it right over the top. You know, I could have ironed this beforehand, but I think I'm just going to smooth it out. Oh, look at there. Oh, my hands are all gooey. Oh yeah, that went right through that material. Feels really good. My hands are covered in glue. And to tell you the truth, that is exactly what I wanted. Move it over a little bit. Oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. So now I'm going to put some more on the top. It's crazy because I kind of feel like I don't need very much on top because it really soaked through so well. Oh, I'm going off the cardboard now. Okay. So I'm going to try to stay on the cardboard, make sure that I get it all gooeyed up. You can see I'm not being stingy with this glue at all. I really want it to just soak in there. It's going to have such a nice feeling when I'm done. I did lay it totally flat, and when I get it and take it out to bend it, it's going to bend just fine. Now when this dries, I'm just going to stick it right on the windowsill in my window. I'm getting a nice breeze in there today, and so I hope it doesn't take too long to dry. I could use my hair dryer, but I think I'm just going to let it dry in my windowsill. No sun's going to hit it, but it's okay. Look at that. I just have a really nice goobery layer on here. All right. I think I'm ready for the window. I have my book inside the windowsill. So now I want to make my pages. This paper is pretty thin. I do have some that's nice and thick. Kind of like to use a little bit of each. So I'm just going to decide what patterns I want to put in. So my cover has all those beautiful butterflies. Excuse me, I'm having a day. So I kind of want to use something beautiful, bright and cheery. I like the flowers. I really like all of this paper. Now, I want to take one and I'm going to put it next to my book to see. I guess I'm going to measure it. I'm going to take this, which I should have did before I start cutting into stuff. I'm going to take this and I'm going to measure the front of the book so that my pages will match my book. So the first page I'm going to cut out is the one I'm going to use for my template. So I'm going to turn my paper over, and it's 6 inches high. So I'm just going to go under 6 inches a little bit, maybe to 5.5 inches. Sorry, you can hear my grandkids are having a go time. And then I think it's small at 4 3/4, so I'm going to go to 4.5 inches. Let me see. I have a hard time getting enough room here because my table is really, excuse me for hitting the camera, cluttered. Oh, I'm going to fold it here. So what I'm going to do, because if I cut this right now, I'm not going to be able to fold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this all the way across, and this is where I'm going to fold it. And you don't have to measure every page, because after I cut this page, I'll use it for my template. You are more than welcome to use something that's going to make your lines perfect. I, however, like to use my scissors, and if it's not totally perfect, I'm going to be okay. So I know that right here on this line is where I want to, so I'm just going to make me a little, there we go, an indent. I'm going to put my sides together. Maybe I should do this side, the side I did not cut. There we go. And ta-da! Didn't have to be all calculating and hard, because I'm not here to do hard. I'm here to enjoy myself and just do whatever tickles my fancy. Now, I think this is the right way for me. And I can take this paper and I could cut it off because this is the width of my book. But you know what? I think I'm going to be creative and I'm going to fold it in. I'm going to go to the side I didn't cut over here. And I'm going to make sure that it's right even with it, and then I can just fold my paper over. I really like this. I have one I bought at Hobby Lobby for a little over $1, and then this one I purchased from Temu in my bookbinding package. So I have my first little booklet, and this will be my template. So we can see right here where I'm off a little bit. So I'm just going to trim it up. There we go. Good as new. Well, as good as good can get for me. There we go. So now I'll have this right here that you can branch out and write on. Or I could put glue here and here, make it a pocket. I can decide right now. I could drive myself crazy, or I can continue to make all my booklets. Now, the last book I did, every time I did a page, I stopped and did my decorating. And I got to tell you, it was very satisfying, and I liked it. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down to be a pocket. And it's a little wide for me to put something in, so I want to make it smaller. Plus, if I use these really cool scissors, when I go to cut it, I can use this piece somewhere else as a decoration for the side. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut this now. And I'm going to freehand it because These are all wiggly, and you know what? I think it's just going to be hard to tell that I'm off, and no, it wasn't, because I can tell. But I'm going to put this to the side so I can use it later. I have a whole pile over there of stuff I'm going to use. I'm not going to worry about this line because I don't know if this is going to be the inside page, but if it's the page that I sew on, hopefully you won't be able to see it, and if you do, you do. So you could use a lighter, maybe a pencil. So where is my glue? I'm going to use my B7000. I'm just going to put a little bit here. A little bit here. This grip dries really nice and fast. And there we go. Now, I don't think I need to show you every booklet page. So let's just do this one, and I'll show you how I'm going to start cutting them out. I'll do the next one. So not all of them will I fold like this. Some I'll just cut. Don't want to get no glue on that. I think a little glue is soaking over. I use towels. I shouldn't have did that on that piece of paper, so be mindful. I do mine on paper, so sometimes I don't even think about it. So now I have a nice pocket here. When I glue stuff down, I do like to stick something in here just so that it knows that something's going to be going in there. See if I can find something. This one's nice and big, but look at that pocket's pretty big, so I don't think I need anything in there. I'm going to press it out to make sure that it's nice and that's going to be a nice tight pocket. There we go. Doesn't that look pretty? So now this is my template for my next one. So let's just cut one out because I do like to decorate mine sometime as I go. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, so I don't do anything, and I don't want this to be an 8-hour long video. So my other pages, you know, when I cut this out, I have probably almost enough for, oh yeah, I have enough for 2 pages. Wow. Let's see. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe I should have another page of the same color. So what you're going to do, if I was doing it on this paper, I'd just lay it here, mark it, cut it all the way across, put this in there and fold it. I'm going to do it with this one. So if I was using this page, I would have just cut it across. I would have got this page. I'm going to put this inside like so. You can have it like going off a little bit if you want to. You could measure it. I'm going to fold it at the top right here. You can see there's a crease, and then I'm going to take my page and I'm going to go up. I'm going to line it up with this side, the side that I did not cut. And I can just tell because it's a lot straighter than the other side. And I'm going to go ahead and use my, this is plastic. I don't know what they call it, a bone paper something. It's plastic. I thought it was going to be like glass, but it's not. Okay. So see, I have another one just like it. I do not want to have another pocket here. So I'm just going to cut it off. And I can use that paper somewhere else. If I'm driving you crazy because my papers are not the same length or width or whatever, you can do yours any way you want to. Okay? This is how I like to do mine. And I'm going to trim it up because this paper is just gorgeous. There we go. So I have this one and I have this one. And what you're going to do is you're going to make little booklets. And we're going to make little booklets to sew in that butterfly cover. So I think I'm going to make my booklets 3 or 4 pages each. You can do 2 pages if you want to. So I could put this one on the inside. It's a little bit bigger. You know what? I don't want it to be too much taller, so I'm going to trim off this tall part. It can be shorter. I just don't want it to be taller than my main piece. This one's my main piece that I measured off of the book. There. It's a little bit smaller, but I'm pretty happy with that. And it sticks out a little bit here, so I'm going to trim a little bit off. Like I said, you can measure all yours if you want to. Yours will probably come out a lot better than mine. Oh, look at me. I'm just going to cut some more. Oh my goodness, Emily. There we go. I think I got it now. Where are my glasses? Okay. Put my glasses on my head. There we go. So now I have these two pieces. Colors match. I really like that. So this would be my little book. I think I'll put flowers in. I could put another page in here. I could take this page and put it, what's left over from this paper, and I could put it right here and make it a pocket. Get my glue. Just make a pocket real quick. Stick it right here. You know, I don't think I'm going to put it down because I might want to put, I don't know what I want to put up there. You know what, let's go ahead and put this down. Wherever I don't have something, you can always use that for a writing space. Now, we're just going to put it around the bottom and the sides, of course, it makes sense, and leave the top empty so that we have room to put something inside. I really like polka dots, so we could always put polka dots around the outside. Leave this empty so that you could write on it. Just giving you a couple ideas on this one because I'm not going to show you all of them that I'm doing. Now I have this little piece done. So you can see I'm using that whole big piece of paper. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip off right here. And I'm going to make this into a place to set a piece of paper in. So I made it nice and big. You can see there's edges here. I'm just going to go along on the outside. Like I said, this B7000, it dries super fast, it lays flat, and it does not bubble up like if you use Elmer's glue. I did use some Elmer's glue in my book that I just finished last night, and I gotta tell you, I used some Elmer's glue and I used the roller. It still bubbled a little bit. Bubbled the paper underneath. I was not very happy with it. It still looked okay, but I was just like, why? Why does it have to do that? And you gotta be careful when you wipe with these towels because your fuzzies will get in that glue. And you just gotta keep rubbing it until the glue comes off. Okay. Doesn't that look nice? This and this are the only two pieces of scrap paper that I have left. So this one, I'm just going to go ahead. Let's see. You know, I got that decorated. We have this one piece here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just decorate this page with the last of this colored paper, which will be really cute because in my whole book, this whole little insert, we're going to call it an insert booklet, is going to be decorated all in the same paper, and it's going to match. And if you noticed my stuff, it gets a little gaudy. I'm trying not to do that as much, especially with my crocheting for my craft sales, because not everyone has my taste and style. Like when I make bracelets, I've been told I need to do them more in one color. And you know what? I agree. You know, when more than when people tell you something, you probably need to make a change. See how that just like wants to stick where I just put it down at. So, oh my goodness. Come on. Move over a little bit. Okay. I think that looks good. A little bubble there. Okay. That looks good. Now I have this little piece, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick it right here. You know what, I can still use it to, put something in, like a little piece of paper with some writing space. So I think that's what I'm going to do. There. Now I can still use my stamps on the empty spots of these pages. I could draw, maybe do some drawing. I could even put a couple of stickers of flowers on here because that would look really nice. There's just a lot you could do. So, depending on how wide your book is, where you're going to be sewing them, decide how many pages, how many booklets. This is a booklet. How many booklets you want to have in yours. Now, this booklet only has 2 pages, but you could have more than 2. Also, if you're making yourself a booklet and you want to put photos or pictures in it, which is a great idea, which I really want to do for myself, you could go ahead and maybe add a few things, but I don't want to like fully decorate this, because when you go to sew it in, you're going to have your pages like this. You're going to poke your 3 holes, and then you're going to be sewing. So you don't want it to be too bulky. I did decorate all my other pages before I sewed them in to my last book, and I really didn't have too much of a problem. But isn't this adorable? This would be a cute card in itself if you just want to do something like this. So, this is my first booklet. If I put another one in there, I'll show you. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. While my cover dries, I'll make my booklets, and then I will be back. Well, it's the next day. I let this dry overnight in the windowsill. And don't make the same mistake I did. I put the whole sheet on the writing of the box instead of putting it on the clear side. So you can see that my butterflies are a little dark. And I can see through it. And it's not that bad. But I don't know why I did not think that that was going to happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it off or anything around the edges. I am going to take another piece of the same material, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down, and then let me figure out which is the right. Okay, so this is the right side, and then I think I'm going to just glue it together here on the top and make fringes. That's my solution. I was thinking about that. So this will be the outside of my book. So you can see now when I put it down on the white that you can't see all of that underneath. And then I'm just going to let it dry for a couple hours, and then I'm going to continue to make my books for the inside. And I apologize. I am having a really hard time with having something to hold my camera that's not moving, and I'm just having a time. So that's what I'm going to do. And I was going to just put paper on the inside, fold the edges in and put paper on the inside. But it looks like now I will just have fabric on each side, which, is bonus. And I've never cut the sides for it to be like fringe. So this will be something new for me. And I think, so just learn from me. I think it's better if you use this inside part of the box for the outside of your book. Now, again, I did not iron my material. You can feel the glue bleeding through, and that's fine with me. And this does look a lot better with it being clear. Now, this big container Mod Podge, I did, I can't remember where I got it. Might have been Michael's. But these little tiny ones, you can get them at the Dollar Tree. At least I can here in Ankeny, Iowa. So, now, this cover, I did let it sit in the window. And last night before I went to sleep, it was dry. So I took it and I put it under a couple of books so that it would lay flat. because it will start to bend, and I can already feel it starting to pucker up this way. So it is always a good idea. You know, even after you finish it, I have one right now that I finished, and it's sitting under books, open with the pages facing up and a book on each side, so that the cover's going to lay flat. God, I got a lot of glue on here. But I just like to put a lot on. You don't have to put this much on yours. I mean, because you can really see it. It's going to take longer to dry. And I'm just going to like go over the edge here a little bit, because I do want the material to glue to each other, and then I'll put that fringe around the edge. Really happy with this. I'm happier with it now that I have all the butterflies on the white side of that cardboard. And you can always paint yours. I did not paint the outside of this Girl Scout cookie box because it's kind of like that, I don't know, it's really smooth. And I was afraid that if I painted it, that the paint would come off on this Mod Podge. And I just didn't want that, because then it would have colored my material. So all done. I'm going to stick it in the window to dry. And I'm going to work on my pages, but I just want to come on here and tell you that's a good idea to use the inside clear part of the box. So here I'm making a template to get ready to sew my little booklets in that I've made. Doesn't this look pretty? So make sure that you have the inside, and you can tell when you fill the book where the outside of the binding is. I'm going to take a pen and mark where I fill the top of the book and the bottom of the book, and that will help you when you start to punch the holes in your pages, your little booklets. And I like to write the top or the bottom because I'm not measuring, and I don't want to put them in upside down. I'm just marking 3 holes all the way down, because I'm only going to be sewing 3 holes. You can always add more holes if your project is larger, or you think that you need that many holes. You could have 5 going down, as many as you want to hold your pages. And I am just doing 3 because I've had really good luck with 3. I am only marking a spot for 4 booklets. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and add a 5th one at the end. So I'm going to put in 5 booklets in my book. You might want to use a ruler to make your line straighter. I'm just eyeballing mine. I've had pretty good luck with that, and I'm really happy with my books. And this is my binding kit I purchased off at Temu. You can go to Hobby Lobby and get all of these pieces separately. So this is nice and sharp, and what I'm going to do is poke my holes beforehand so it's easier for my needles to go through. And I'm just going to use regular embroidery. What you use to embroider, that kind of thread, embroidering thread. So my book is kind of mushy because I did let it dry, but it just feels a little bit soft, and so I really like that. So this will puncture through a lot easier. So I'm going to do my puncturing in all the holes. So I'm going to go ahead and go back through, make sure that my holes are punched really nicely. You can see them on the other side too. And if you're having a hard time when you start sewing your booklets in, you can always use this to make your holes a little bit bigger. So now I'm going to take my booklet. I made quite a few. Might have made more than I needed to, but they're really pretty. And I'm going to put them in the stack in the order that I want to put them in my book. because after I poke my holes, I'm going to sew them in immediately into my booklet, my little booklets into my book. So you can start sewing them in at the back of your book, the front of your book, whichever way you want to put them in. So you can see that little mark on that page that says top is really going to help, because that's going to show you where the top of your booklet is. And so I'm also marking where the bottom is. And this page is pretty close to the top and bottom, so I'm really happy that I marked it. So now I'm just going to hold it right there on the inside of the book. I'm going to fold it. I am just going to put my little pokey thing, ice pick, whatever you want to call it, right next to where the holes are, and then I'm going to bend it and push it all the way through, and you can see it come out. And that's how I make my holes for my booklets. Now remember, I don't measure my pages. I guess I'm going to poke holes in all my booklets first and just make it easier that way, and then I'll sew them all in. So you can see this one is not as close up to the top line where the book is, so these will sit lower. So I can decide how far up I want my pages to be. I hope that makes sense. You could always tape that template in, use a paper clip to hold it down, however you want to make sure that it doesn't move on you. And if when you're poking holes and it does not go through all the pages, you can always use tape, washi tape, duct tape to tape them to the other page next to them to make sure that they don't move if for some reason your pages are smaller. So this page, I decided I was going to use this page as a pocket, so I'm just gonna only put a hole in the middle, and then once I get it in the book, I'm going to glue each side, the top and the bottom, to make it a pocket. And I know this little piece of paper in the middle is not going to be able to have all the sewing going through it, but I will be prepared to tape this little piece in also. So these are my little booklets, my little inserts, and I'm really happy with them. Now I'm checking them to make sure they're all facing the right side. I don't want any of them to go in upside down. And now I'm ready to sew them in. I'm not going to cut my my thread. I'm just going to leave it connected so that it doesn't accidentally pull through while I'm trying to sew it. So I'm just going to leave it connected. Plus it also helps you to save and not waste the string. So I'm going to open it up to the middle, and I want my tie to be on the inside of my book. So I'm going to go into the middle, go into the book. I'm going to put it through and pull it through. Now once you pull it through, you're going to go to the top of the book, find your hole, and if you're struggling, you can always use your little pick to make the hole bigger. And once you go through, you find the holes in your booklet and take it all the way through. You can see here that I'm going one page at a time, and when you have your string, your thread still connected to something, it helps so that it doesn't pull all the way through. And then you have to start all over. So now you go all the way to the bottom, sew in the holes, bring it through. You are going to take it all the way back to the middle where you started. And take it through that hole. And you're going to want to make sure that your thread, you have one piece on one side, one piece on the other side, so that when you tie it, it has something to hold it. Make sure you grab each piece and you're going to jiggle it back and forth really well to make it nice and sturdy. Now you can see here, when you look on the inside of the book, that it lines up really well. You can tie your knot, and you can tie 2 or 3. I usually like to tie the first one a regular knot. The second one I like to wrap it around twice before I pull it tight. And then you can do one more just for safe measures if you want to. And your pages are nice and secure, and it's amazing how wonderful this works. And it's really easy. After you do the first one, you can do all of them pretty quickly. So it is really important when you're sewing your pages in that you make sure that all your pages are going in the right way. You can see here I started with the back of the book instead of the front of the book. So make sure when you're sewing your booklets in that everything is going to be sewn in the right direction. Isn't it pretty? I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the next one. But they're all going to go in the same way. Okay, so I have all my pages sewn into my book. And now I'm going to take care of this outside. I am going to just cut around, and I'm just going to leave, you know what, I don't even think I'm going to cut up here, but I am going to cut the sides down a little bit. I'm going to leave enough so that I can, you know what, maybe I shouldn't cut any off. I think maybe on this side it's a little long. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off, maybe just where it's folded under. Maybe I'll just get rid of that. So you could do this, of course, before you sew your pages in, whatever you want to do. Okay. Now I'm just going to go up and make a little frill. Like when you're making a tie blanket. Now I'm not going up all the way to the cardboard underneath because I don't want to take a chance of cutting into that. I think this is just going to give it some really nice. I'm going to cut off that corner piece. It will just give it a nice finish. And it can start unraveling if it wants to. That's not going to bug me either. Cut these really thin, really thick, however you want to. This is just something that came into my mind when I figured out that I should have put it on the inside of the box instead of the outside. So I'm just letting you see the mistakes because I'm still learning when I do this. As you can see, and it's always fun that when you're doing this that you're just continually learning. Doing new things are fun. And if you'd like your books to be really full of stuff, I did leave a lot of room in this book by putting these pages in so that you can add your own stuff. Now right here, I'm just going to make a corner, cut it off. I'm not planning on putting anything on the front of this book because I really like this fabric with the butterflies. I have enough material left to do a small book. I like this. I don't have to be real precise. Is way up there, but there's some glue here, so I was afraid it was the book. And over time, hopefully this material will just loosen up a little bit and be all frilly and wiggly. Well, that didn't take long to go all the way around at all. I really like it already. I really would like the old messy. Now, I wish I had a sewing machine to sew around the edge, but I do not. So, I'm just going to have to live with it like this. Ooh. I could put some brads maybe in each corner. That would be really cute and help it to hold it down. I might do that. And then when you open it, this piece right here, I wanted to make this into a pocket. I did want to have it sewed in before I made it into a pocket. So now I'm going to just cut off. I think I want it to here. So I'm just going to cut it all the way down, being careful not to cut anything underneath. Now I'm going to take my glue. Well, let's see. I'm going to take my hole puncher first. And I'm going to punch half a hole right here. Not even quite half. So that there's a space for someone to put their finger in there and take out what's in there. And go ahead and put a little bit of ink. There we go. Just right there. That looks good. And now I'm just going to put my glue down each side. And, you know, I always like to just put a little bit in down the middle when I'm going to close stuff up. And now I have a nice pocket. So I'm just going to show you the pages that I have put in here. I'm going to go ahead and decorate them. Just a little bit, not too much. So you can see there's a lot of writing space, but I can also make some pockets in here. I did paint and then did some ink on top of that one. But there's a lot of writing space because you could still write on this. This is watercolor. And then this was my distressed ink spray. So I have, you know, cards that you can write in. Oh, I need to do the edges on this, but I do it now while I'm noticing it. There we go. A little tiny piece here. Ta-da! And I could put something in here, maybe a pocket or something if I wanted to. I just don't know if I am yet. I do know that I'm going to be putting my yarn fur here, so it will take up some of that room in between them. But I like to leave a little bit of room just in case you're going to put photos or just anything that you want to put in. Because I can add some embellishments that stick out a lot, and I'm going to need that extra room. So this is my book. I really like it. I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned some stuff by my mistakes. You guys have a great day, and I will be back soon. Thank you. Bye.